Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Top3Tech. I am your host, Jerry Ruiz, and today we are going to be reviewing the EK-AIO 280 D-RGB all-in-one liquid cooling system. EK is known for their liquid cooling parts. Pretty much you build it up from the ground up, but they do have AIOs. And I did get this for my main rig. I needed a 280 radiator fan system, but since I have it now, I figured I might as well review it. So let's go ahead and look into that. We're gonna go ahead and go into the unboxing. I took off the plastic wrapping and I did take off the seal. But other than that, I have not seen what comes inside. And right on top, we have the user manual. Installation manual, sorry. I guess different words for different things. Some padding up there. Let's see, what's this? Looks like different brackets. EK-AIO 240 into 80 D-RGB mounting. Interesting. I'll go ahead and open that when I can. Put that there. Let's see, what's this? Oh, I know what this is. We got the radiator. And this is attached to the pump, obviously. Wrapped up. Look at that. RGB. So I'll set this down. It does come with two fans, 140 millimeters RGB, and I know I said this was for my main PC, which you guys usually see in GPU benchmarks, but there's a catch. So that can only fit a 280 millimeter radiator on top, and well, I have the Lee & Lee Uni fans on there, and those are 120 I have on top. So I'm trying to get the Lee & Lee SL Uni 140 millimeters, but they're out of stock. They recently released not too long ago, maybe a month or a couple weeks ago, and I haven't been able to get my hands on them. I need 3. So until I'm able to get my hands on them, this is going to go inside the streaming PC. If you've been following along my channel, you'll know that I built the streaming PC with extra parts, and you'll know I just got a tower cooler for that, for $20. So literally that was last week. I only got to use the tower cooler for a week, and now I'm going to put this in the streaming PC. So you're going to see this bounce around for a bit, but I am going to test it in the Lee & Lee LandCool 2, which is my main rig, and I'll be comparing it with the $20 tower cooler with the 360 millimeter AIO I got on there from Cooler Master, and this, just to see what different performance we get. And I'm actually pretty excited to see how that goes, because I've been wanting to get a 280 millimeter radiator for a long time. This went on sale for $100 and figured I have to get it. It is an EK one. It was cheaper than a lot of other brands, and I'm a fan of EK stuff. So let's go ahead and get this installed. So depending on how you install this in your PC, it's going to look a little different for everyone. If you have your fans exhausting, they will look like this. Obviously, you'll have them like that on top of your case or on the rear exhaust. If they're pulling in, this is how they'll look like. So you'll see them like this on the front. You got thermal paste. You might have some already, you might not, but it comes with it. Here's a little pigtail for your 4-pin fans. You go ahead and connect those onto here and then onto here. Saves you a header. And here's the back plate for if you need to install on the Intel or the AMD. It has the Intel brackets. It looks like these are the Intel screws. These are to screw onto the pieces, the brackets onto the back plate, it looks like. These are to screw the radiator in to your PC case. I'm assuming these are either, I guess I'm not going to say it till we install, but they're either or for Intel or AMD to hold down the screws. We got the AMD brackets here, and then we got the AMD screws here. So whatever you're gonna use, go ahead and make sure you got the right pieces and put them together correctly. Here is my main rig, and for the AMD install, you're gonna wanna remove the pump, and you're gonna wanna remove all the paste that is on there. And of course, to make things easier, either do some CPU benchmarks or play a game that's CPU intensive to help heat up the paste so it's easy to remove. But let's go ahead and get started. I went ahead and uninstalled the Uni fans, the 120mm ones, and I took off the pump. I took off the brackets that hold on to my old AIO pump. This is the Ryzen little bracket, clips things in. Anyways, you're gonna go ahead and grab the bag that says 1150 1200 AMD screws, 4 pieces. These are actually gonna be what hold the pump in. So we're gonna go ahead and install that right now. One thing I'm loving about these standoffs so far is that I'm able to, here you can see, I'm able to screw them in while having this vertically mounted. Makes it easier for me to record. But you're gonna want to go ahead and screw in this smaller part in the back plate, and this will be facing up. So as you can see, I mounted this top left and this bottom right one. I didn't screw them in all the way, but just so that way my back plate could be on while I'm recording to make things easier. And I can do this by hand, which is nice, because having to try to do this with the screwdriver, recording, holding this down is a little bit difficult. So this way I gotta go ahead and just record, talk, and screw these in. So the next part of the process is going to be installing the fans on. Honestly, you could do this before, just have everything prepped. But depending on how you go ahead and mount this in your PC, if you're going to have it as the front intake, you can have the fans 2 different ways. So if you're going to mount the fans in the front of your case, you're going to want to go ahead and have the logo showing in the front like this, and then pulling in like that. If you're gonna do a push-pull in your case, you're gonna want this back logo facing this way, and it'll be blowing the fans out, just like how I have this radiator set up. And if you're gonna use this as an exhaust case this way, this front logo, you're gonna have facing the back like this. That way the air is exhausting out. And so I don't know, probably wouldn't say this. You could put the radiator down here, and you would want the air pulling up. So you would want this back facing up like that. Depends how you mount them, but you're gonna want to go ahead and screw them in. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on top exhausting. Like I said, for my main PC, I had originally wanted this for the exhaust, but until I get the Unis, the 140mm, I'm gonna have them in my streaming PC. But since this is the AMD build, we're gonna go ahead and install them there. Just double checking. So I'm gonna have it like this. So the front of these fans facing up, and then I'm gonna want these wires to the back. So I'm gonna want it like this. So before you screw them in, make sure that they're these with the smooth, mostly smooth part, and then the little threaded end at the bottom. Not these that are threaded all the way. And then of course, line them up to the holes. Have this facing the motherboard. That way cable management's a little easier. And then just line up the second one to the next spot. Once it is lined up, you're just gonna go ahead and line it up and just go ahead and screw it in. It's easier to do the corner ones first, whichever corner ones. I was already grabbing the wrong one. Whichever corner ones is easier for you, because once those opposite corner ones are screwed in, that means they should be lined up. The next step is to take off this plastic cover protecting the thermal paste. Ooh, they got that on there nice and neat. You're gonna grab the bag that says AMD brackets. It'll be these bad boys. And then you're gonna have this metal lip facing down or facing you when you're looking at this copper pump or the copper plate. As you can see, there's a smoother side that'll be facing towards the pump cover, the RGB side, and then you see this little indentation, you'll have that facing the copper plate. So you'll go ahead and put those there, and then there's 4 holes that you screw in these screws for brackets. You'll go ahead and screw those in. So the next step is going to be to install the pump, and you're going to want to go ahead and grab the bag that has the screws and the springs, these thumb ones, and you're going to go ahead and carefully, unless you want to make a mess of your motherboard, you're going to carefully go ahead and grab your pump and align it with the previous thumb screws we put in. And I actually had to flip my fans over because I realized that this pump only goes one way, so I had to flip the fans around, and I'm not too sure if it's going to fit in with this other radiator, but I'll be able to figure that out. Anyways, after you go ahead and put in the pump, make sure to put in your 4 springs. Just put them on each little spike or pole, and then there we go. You're gonna want to put the cover on top, and it has a screwdriver on it, so you're gonna push down, you're gonna screw that in. I do all 4 by hand first and do 1 corner at a time, just to make sure that there's equal pressure. The next step is to screw in the radiator. Do not use the screws that come in with the regular fan screws, because that'll go ahead and tear up the radiator. But you're gonna go ahead and want the ones that come in the bag with all the other screws are the radiator screws. You see it's a little smaller, but those will fit perfectly into your radiator without messing it up. It does come with 8 of them, so make sure those are all screwed in. Like I said, start with the exterior corner ones. Make sure everything is lined in. Make sure that your wires are pushed away and tucked in nicely. And then you get a different angle for this, but you can use one hand to. I'm gonna have to push these hoses a little further back. Alright, I'm gonna push those hoses back, line this up real quick, and get that installed. So just make it easier for myself and as a visual, I went ahead and lined up the holes. I did the corner ones first. There's 8 holes, so make sure all 8 holes show up before you start screwing them in. And I did these 2, but I'm just gonna finish it up right here. The heat shield on the motherboard, I had to push that a little back because it was a little in the way, but it worked out fine. I was a little worried I was gonna have to unscrew it, but I didn't, so that was great. I did have to push the front radiator out of the way, so it's not fully installed, but you guys don't gotta worry about that because you shouldn't have a front radiator if this is gonna be your radiator. But if you have one on your AIO on your GPU, that might be a problem. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and check that out right now. But just make sure those are all screwed in. And then your wires, you're gonna want to pull those out from whatever hole there is. See, I pulled them out there. And like I said, it's just easier for me to have them already connected. So that way when I plug them in, it's not too bad. So I was actually able to fit the front radiator back on once I had it installed. So good news for people using AIO GPU and the CPU radiator. They'll both be able to fit. I was kind of wondering about that. I was a little scared, but it's fine. That's why you see this pump dangling. But I'm not going to connect this pump, so it won't be on. Just the fans will be on, that's fine. And speaking of connecting the pump, make sure that your AIO pump is connected to either the CPU optional, or if it says AIO pump on your header, and then make sure to plug in your 3-pin 5-volt ARGB as well. And with that, we're going to go ahead and go on to the benchmarks and see the results that we get. So if you saw the AMD one or skip to this, it's going to be a little bit different, not only because it's a Intel CPU, because I'm gutting this case and I'm front mounting it instead of top mounting it, because I'm going to have it permanently in here, or not permanently, but I'm going to have it in here longer than I'm going to have it in the LANCO 2 one. So I'm going to go ahead and gut it and front mount it. So what you're going to want to do, remove the stock fan and make sure you wipe off all the paste. You're going to grab this back plate, put it behind this motherboard, and then with these thumb screws, you're going to go ahead and mount those with that back plate. We'll go ahead and show that step right now. It'll be easy to remember which way this back plate faces because the EK logo will be facing the right way. It says EK. Then you'll go ahead and grab the screws that are in this bag. It says 1150, 1200 AMD screws. Those thumb screws. So anyways, line them up with these holes back here. This is easier for me to record than the tower cooler because I can actually do this with a hand and not a tool. So you want to get the corner one. Either top corner will be fine. Leave it a little loose, but tight enough where it's not going to fall out. And then you'll get the opposite corner. That way it'll be in place. Like I said, tighten it just a bit where it's not loose where it's going to fall out, but tight enough where you can move it around. And then just get either or corner. And then same thing with the opposite one. And then just go ahead and make sure to tighten it as much as you can. You don't got to overdo it, but just tighten it till you can't tighten it no more. Make sure you know which way you're going to go ahead and install the radiator because the pump has to go this way with these cables facing left and the hose facing to the right. And I'm going to mount it in the front like this. So I'm going to have to make sure that the fans are screwed onto the front right here. If you're going to mount it on top, your fans are going to have to be up here. And they're going to have this white part. It's going to have to be facing up like this. And like I said, since these fans are going to be facing like this, they're going to be mounted in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and mount that onto the front right now. My install is going to be a little bit different than most people's if they top mount it or if their front of their case allows more space. But I have this bracket in the middle. I have to put these fans in front so the front of my case can light up. But normally you're going to want to screw the fans onto the radiator with the bottom end is threaded and then this is smooth. I'm going to be using this longer one because I need the extra space because of that bracket in the middle. It's all threaded. And then if you do top mount it, on the back of the radiator there's little holes and these will screw into them, these tiny little screws, and that'll hold it up. But these are doing the work for both of those. I did go ahead and line this up as best as I could with the holes showing out. I did unscrew this front part so I can kind of push it up and fit this other fan as best as I could. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this all the way now just because I want it to hold still because I have lined up the radiator as best as I can, and I don't want that. I don't want it moving on me, so this is gonna hold still for me. That way I can put the fan in the best spot possible. Okay, so that's screwed in. And the wires, there's holes on the side here. I'm just gonna feed the wires through there. Or I could even run it down here and feed it under here since I'm gonna have that extra gap. I'll see how I do it after, but let's see. So in the bag that says Intel brackets, 2 pieces, you'll take those out. You're going to take off the plastic cover that is on this, and there's going to be thermal paste, or there should be, since I had to reuse this. Alright, since I did the AMD install, I took off the thermal paste, wiped it off, so I'm going to have to paste it on there anyways. But remember, this is going to be facing this way, so this is upside down. This metal part that indents right here, not the flat side, but it indents, you'll see. That's going to go facing in, and you'll put that like this, line it up with the hole. I don't know if you can see that, so look, there's the holes. Line that up, perfect. And then on the bottom, you'll go ahead and do the same thing, line that up. I did it backwards though, remember. So the smooth part indents, you line that up with the holes, and then after you line those up, you'll go ahead and get this bag that says screws for brackets, and you'll use those to screw them in. So you should already have thermal paste on the pump, but if for some reason it doesn't, or yeah, for some reason it doesn't, I went ahead and put some thermal paste on there. And then you're gonna go ahead and line it up with those thumb screws you put in earlier, those pillars. And trying to do this in recording is a little difficult. And also, you probably won't have a GPU installed, which will make things a lot easier. And you could always move the hoses around to help you install this. So as you can see, they're all in. And then you're gonna go ahead and grab the, what do they call it? Not the thumb screws, but they're the mounting, not the mounting thumb screw, but the thumb nut and the spring. So there'll be these, the spring, and then the thumb nut. It has a little cross right there. You'll go ahead and put the spring on each one of these, push down, but that's what I do first, is put the spring on each one. Sorry, I have the camera in my way. It's a good way to get a good shot, but it's a terrible way to do this. Okay, so each spring, it'll just make things easier for you. On each corner, thumb screw this down, and then make sure it's pushed down all the way, and screw it in a good size, you know, so you know it's gripped in there, and get corner from corner. And the reason you're not going to want to do it all the way just yet is because you're going to want to make sure that it's equally pressured. If you do just one side, your pump might not be fully contacting the CPU, and it might not be all the way down on one side. Maybe you can have 3 sides, but we're going to want equal pressure all around, just that way the paste being applied will go ahead and cool your pump correctly and your CPU. That way there's no issues. Okay, and then you can just go ahead and finish tightening it with the screwdriver. So your next step would be to install the radiator on top, and then look, here's the holes in the back and those small screws. Let me find them again. The small little silver screws will be used to hold that up. There's about 8 of them. Like I said, I had to install this previously. Here it is. I had to install this previously because it was going in the front and I have to hold the radiator up, so that's the only reason why I already did that. So that part is already done. After that, you're gonna go ahead and connect the wires from the pump. It's a 4-pin to either CPU fan, or if it has AIO pump, use that instead. Or if it says CPU optional, plug it into that instead, because the pump needs to be on 24/7. And also don't forget to plug in your 3-pin 5-volt ARGB, and the same with the 2 front ones. There's a pigtail. You'll go ahead and plug these the 4-pin fan ones into these 2, and then this will plug into the CPU header, fan header. And then those also have a piggyback. They have a pigtail, so you can plug in this 3-pin 5-volt ARGB. So that way, if you don't have enough headers, those can mount together. But that is the install. We're gonna go ahead and run the benchmarks. And I'm also gonna fix the rest of these fans onto here because I still need to do that. So the EK-280mm D-RGB AIO did beat the Cooler Master 360mm ML360R AIO in most tests, and if not, it did tie with it. And in the Cinebench is the best test to check, and it tied there because that one's just straight sumptuous use of the CPU. But I went ahead and put in some other applications as well, so you could see the slight differences, or that it did tie. And the average temps and the max temps were pretty much the same or slightly off. But that is pretty impressive considering that the 360mm fans have a little bit more area to work with. But the only downfall about using 2 big fans is they were a little louder than the 360mm. But either way, I was impressed. And in gaming, the 5800X didn't get too hot when I tested these games out in 1080p, just so it could be CPU usage and not GPU reliant. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good CPU, especially if you get it for that $100 price. I didn't have too much negative to say about it, except for the fact that the pump had to be facing one certain way, so the hose have to be a certain way. So you just gotta make sure that everything is aligned before you screw it in, or else you're gonna have to do double the work, like I had to do. And then the other thing I didn't like either was that if you buy this for an Intel CPU that has the LGA 1700 chip, you're gonna have to get the other backplate, which they only charge you 1 cent for. And if you order it through their website, you'll get the backplate for 1 cent, and you'll get the AIO, and the shipping won't be extra. But in my case, I have to pay $20 for shipping, and I think that is completely unacceptable. So technically this is a $120 CPU for me, but I'm not going to buy that just yet. Maybe I'll buy something else off the website. Other than that though, I think it is a pretty good AIO. I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes in my AMD case one day. And I'm glad that you guys have been sticking around and seeing how the streaming PC has come along. But I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys stay tuned for my next stuff. Peace! Thank you for watching another video from Top3 Entertainment. I hope you hit like and subscribe. Also, I'm going to have a recommended playlist, a recommended video right here, so make sure to click that as well. I appreciate you guys tuning in, whether it be to the Top3Tech, Top3 Gaming, or the Why Not Me podcast. You guys are dope. I hope to see you guys in the next video. And of course, let's grow this thing together. Peace. Peace.